Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Vendor Voices. I am here, Korrigan, your host from the video side of the table, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Sammi. Photographer.
And we are here to talk about why wedding vendors cost what they cost.
Yeah.
And kind of like break it down, like what should you be looking at to spend? How should you kind of be budgeting that? If you're planning to have like an amazing photographer, what can that kind of like run you? And like, what's that, what are some of the numbers behind it? Because it's good to talk about.
Yeah.
And so, that's today's episode, and we're excited to dive into it.
Yeah, it's a crucial topic because, weddings are a major investment. So
Yeah.
it's natural for couples to want to understand the breakdown of what goes into wedding vendors and their pricing and costs. So that's what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah.
But before we dive in, let's do a little wedding planning update, Corrigan. How are things going?
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, I know.
We knew this was coming. This is going to be probably a recurring segment. But we are, again, in the wedding planning process. Reagan actually has such a good booklet. I need to mention, like, where people can get this booklet. I don't even know, but she has a booklet that's like what you should do at 12 months into your wedding, 10 months into your wedding, 6 months. And it has a checklist of everything you should be doing and like booking and scheduling. So that's really been helping us go through. And
can you find it and we'll put it in the show notes?
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes. Actually, check the show notes for the link and I will put that down there because that's so important.
Yeah.
But that's been helping us so much. It's taken a lot of the stress out, and we actually just found out that we're actually ahead of schedule. And we've been feeling behind, but we're like, oh, actually, according to this checklist, we're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And so this past weekend, we actually booked our honeymoon.
Ooh,
which
exciting.
Literally such an exciting part.
Where are you guys going?
We're going to Jamaica. We're going to be sipping some drinks on the beach, relaxing.
Yes, much deserved after planning a wedding.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle did Jamaica for their honeymoon, and we're just like, let's just do some Jamaica and just relax because I know we're going to be like building up all this stress and like just going to be, by the time the wedding's here, I know we're going to be like wedding planning out and we're gonna be like, let's just like relax and lay on the beach.
That'll be so good. Decompress, relax, enjoy time together.
Also, the resort we booked has a golf course that's included, and we both play golf, so we're like, okay, this is why we went with this one. So we're gonna be able to play like rounds of golf for free. So
amazing.
It's like included. It's not free, but it is what it is.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna like say the actual place so I don't like dox myself when I'm on my honeymoon.
Let's not do that.
But we're gonna be on the beaches of Jamaica, so we're super excited.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be amazing. Well, should we let's talk about our topic.
Let's dive into it.
Let's dive in. So let's start with the big picture, the average cost of a wedding.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening, we are here in Chicago, so these numbers are based in Chicago. So depending on where you're at, these might be a little bit different.
The averages in Chicago are different than the averages in your small town. So just know that this is what you're listening to.
For sure.
We don't want to put anybody like down or make your wedding seem less than. Everyone has their own budget.
Yep.
But we're just looking at the numbers in our city where we're at. So that's what we're talking about today.
So the average cost of a wedding in Chicago for 150 to 200 people can range from 40 to 50,000.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably more than that, but this is the average, okay?
Yeah.
And this covers everything: venue, food, decor, and of course the key vendors that make the day memorable.
Totally. Again, I do feel like it's probably a bit higher. I have seen some of my couples like budgeting and seen like where I fit into that as they've been like talking with me beforehand, and I've seen some higher totals in my history. So I'm like, it is, weddings are the biggest thing in your life for a lot of people. It's like the big event that you've been thinking about since you were a kid. And so it's good to make sure that it's the perfect day.
Yeah, definitely. So now when we're talking about vendor costs, it helps to break down budget recommendations. Typically, couples might spend around 10 to 15% of their total budget on a wedding planner.
Okay.
We love wedding planners.
Wedding planners literally make the day go so smooth. I can't reiterate this enough, but every single time I'm at a wedding, I know if it's going to be smooth if I walk in and there's a wedding planner to greet me. It's just like a day of is it a wedding planner, day of coordinator? That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
It's so
Two
important.
separate things: wedding planner, day of coordinator, two separate
things.
Two separate things. But if you're spending around 10 to 15% of your total budget on a wedding planner, in Chicago, a full service wedding planner could cost between $4,000 to $10,000, depending on their experience and also the level of customization needed for your wedding. And then for day of coordination services, that cost might be lower, around $1,500 to $3,000. Again, these are averages. But wedding planners help with everything from organizing timelines to managing vendors to making sure your day goes smoothly, allowing couples to relax and just really take in every moment and not have to be worrying about, all the little details that a planner or a day of coordinator would take on for you. So a great planner is definitely invaluable for a stress-free wedding day.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Speaking
Amazing.
of wedding days and you're planning a wedding, are you guys planning to have a day of coordinator?
We are planning on having a day of coordinator. I'm not sure if that decision has been finalized yet. We haven't looked through the booklet. We're just following the booklet, guys. I can't tell you more. I do video. I'm not a wedding planner. I'm not a coordinator. So this is all new to me. I'm sticking to the booklet. I trust Reagan. So if in that booklet it says to do that, we will do that.
I'm pretty sure it probably does.
It probably does.
Yeah.
So I'll actually check when I get home today. I'll make sure. But that is, I'm pretty sure I definitely know that I want a coordinator there because, again, of how seamless it makes my day. I'm like, I can't imagine my personal wedding without a day of coordinator because they just make it so smooth.
Yeah. And a lot of venues do provide a day of coordinator if that's part of your venue's
It's
offerings.
not part of our venue, so it's like it is something that's like on the to-do list.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I highly recommend it. We've both experienced it. It really does help make a day go so much smoother when you have that. But let's move on to photography. So photography is usually about 12 to 15% of the wedding budget. Okay. Here in Chicago, hiring a professional photographer is no small feat.
No.
Generally it ranges between $3,500 to $6,000, sometimes more.
It's a good range. Yeah.
But that's just, again, averages. As a photographer, we bring a lot of time, talent, and experience into the wedding day. And also, not to mention, but like all of the equipment as well.
Yeah.
The equipment is also part of that. And so, there's so much that we bring to the table, and our costs, reflect that. But
you can't, it's definitely like a seasoned photographer when they have that huge backpack. They just walk in with all their gear and their hands are completely full. You're like, okay, they've got the stuff.
That is us for sure.
I worked with a photography, videography couple recently, and they have a wagon that they pull in with all their gear. I'm like, I personally need a wagon. I didn't even think about this.
I'm at that point where I need a wagon.
You should get a wagon because it makes the life so simple.
Yeah. Especially carrying around like lighting equipment as well, like light stands, tripods, multiple lenses, multiple camera bodies, backups of your batteries and everything. Oh my gosh, there's so much that we bring into it. But that cost also covers far more than just this time spent photographing the wedding day.
Yeah.
If you listen to our last week's episode, we went into a deep dive into what happens post wedding day after the vows and all of the time that goes into editing and culling and even just creating some special physical, tangible deliverables
stuff afterwards. Make sure that the couples have, the right deliverables and walk away that they can remember their day perfectly.
Definitely. So it also includes weeks of planning, scouting locations, coordinating with the couple prior to the actual wedding day. So I think it's important that if you are a bride or a groom and you're listening to this, keep in mind when you are hiring a videographer or a photographer, it is not just the hours of the wedding day that you are actually essentially paying for. You're actually
there's a lot that goes in on the back end.
There's a lot.
It's more than just the day of. That's exactly right. For videography, I'll just kind of jump in as well.
That. Yeah.
Videography typically takes up about 8 to 12% of a wedding budget. Typically around like I would say in Chicago, it can range anywhere from, again, around the 3,000 to 6,000 range. There's a bunch of different packages. Again, we're in Chicago. It's kind of like a wedding mecca. I feel like the city has some of the, most talented video people in the wedding industry. And so obviously there's a lot of great cities that have, like LA has some amazing wedding stuff and people that just do destinations all over. But Chicago is definitely home to a lot of very important and very talented video and photo people. So yeah, that's kind of what it ranges as. And again, this is all for your budget. Mainly look at that 8 to 12% when you're looking at your own budget. If you're not in the city of Chicago, that's kind of like what's typically you can come to expect if you want a high quality video.
Yeah, that's a great point. And videography isn't just about recording the events of the day. It's also about curating an experience. I love what we talked about a little bit on the last episode about this, tangible gift that you can provide your couples for them to relive not just a digital format of your video that you create for them, but a physical copy as
media.
Well. It's about curating that experience that they're going to be able to relive again and again and again for generations to come.
Yeah, I love just the thought of, oh my gosh, I don't want to get emotional, but I love the thought of like my couples like rewatching their wedding film like with their kids or grandchildren. I keep saying that it's like something I like love to think about.
That's you guys someday.
I know. It's like I wasn't able to watch my grandparents' wedding film because it wasn't really a thing. Wedding film's a bit newer in the industry. Obviously everyone has wedding photos. It's been such a staple in weddings for forever. But I love that with filmmaking being a kind of newer thing, I guess, in the spectrum of the world, that my grandkids will be able to watch my wedding film, and that's so amazing. So
that is so amazing.
You're definitely getting a really cool thing because, again, wedding films, you're able to hear the audio of the day. You're able to hear the speeches. You're able to hear the vows. Like, I would love to hear like my grandparents' vows from their wedding day. Would be so amazing. And so I love that we're able to like bring that into the future of generations, being able to hear that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like videography has the ability to bring so much more to that ability to relive the day. Like photos do say 1,000 words. I love that quote.
Yeah.
But video says like a million.
It says the words.
It says the actual words. So
it
actually shows you physically there moving and in real time and shows the tears falling versus just the photo of the tear being wiped away. And so,
but it's so good to have both.
It is so good to have both. It really is. And I know it's tough for some couples. They don't have the budget to add videography in there. Going back and forth. Do we add a videographer? Do we not? Do we just do it? If you can afford it, if you can swing it,
it's so worth it.
Yeah. So when we consider a $50,000 wedding budget, that means around, $5,000 to $7,000 goes towards photography, around $4,000 to $7,000 for videography, and between $4,000 to $10,000 for a full service planner. Yeah. So, this breakdown, hopefully helps couples understand where they're investing and why.
Yeah.
But let's not forget also that each vendor brings more than just, the hours of the day. Like we said, we bring years of experience, high quality equipment, and also the ability to handle any situation.
Yeah.
A lot goes into delivering a polished final deliverable, and also a reliable service for the big day.
Yeah, and you're definitely, if you're booking a higher end video or photo person like yourself or myself, you're booking someone who has learned a lot of lessons throughout their entire career. I'm just thinking about like, you're obviously going to be able to find somebody in your price range. For, again, the percentage of your budget should go to that. I'm just thinking about how I started off my wedding journey is so funny. I don't know if I've told you this before, but when I did my first wedding, this is a kind of a tangent real quick.
That's okay.
When I did my first wedding, afterwards, I vowed that I would never do a wedding again.
Really?
I did. Yeah, that was literally something I told myself. And look at me now. But I was literally 17 years old, and I was doing a wedding for a friend of mine. Really good. I actually just went golfing with him recently. And I did photography. I started off doing photo, and there was a moment where I ran out of space on my SD card and had to go to the bathroom and like offload the footage onto my phone and then clear up space. And then
Oh my
I was
gosh.
just like a 17-year-old kid who just got a camera.
Yeah.
But you know what? It got me into the industry. I still delivered their photos. It did turn out okay, I think. They're happy with the photos.
You're
So
still friends, so.
we're still friends. We just went golfing. It's okay, guys. It was a favor for a friend. It was a friend from the skate park. And it is so funny. But now here I am like years later, and I'm like, okay, this is why I shoot on 2 SD cards.
Yeah.
I don't just own 1 SD card. Like you are paying for the experience of somebody who's like been in this industry. They know how to deal with the swings of a wedding day. They know what can go wrong and how to solve that. Especially in the video and photo space, there's always inevitably something that doesn't go exactly to plan. And it's just being able to swing with that.
Yeah. So, with that being said, if you're prioritizing your budget, think about what's going to last.
Exactly.
The memories captured through photography and videography, and also the peace of mind that maybe a planner provides. Those elements are well worth the investment.
100%.
Well worth it.
All right, guys. Well, we hope this budget breakdown gives a clear understanding of the value behind wedding vendor pricing. Every dollar does go into creating an experience that you'll cherish forever. So
Yeah, and if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover next, don't hesitate to reach out or comment below. We would love to hear from you guys. And we just love helping couples make sense of the wedding planning process, and we love being a voice for other vendors as well. And so if you are a vendor as well, if you have any thoughts on this episode, we'd love to hear from you as well.
yeah. But anyway, Sammy, where can they find you if they do want to put some of their budget towards your photos for their wedding? Who knows?
Yeah, well, if you are a bride planning a wedding here in Chicago, I would love to work with you. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Captured by Sammi. That's captured by SAMMI. And how about you, Korrigan? If we have some lovely brides and grooms looking to hire a videographer like yourself, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Korrigan.mp4. I also am starting my own wedding business offshoot brand pretty soon. So there is a new ad that's probably coming in a future episode.
A new handle.
A new handle coming soon. And also follow our Vendor Voices Instagram at Vendor Voices to keep up with the podcast, watch clips, and comment on specific topics we cover. And leave a comment down below. Again, what do you want us to cover next time? What's on your mind?
Yep. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe as well.
Yeah, please subscribe.
Shameless plug, but
do it. It's free.
Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update or an episode.
And ring the bell. Get the notification.
Yes. Do all of the things, please.
Click all the buttons.
Click all the buttons. Just start clicking them. Just share, save.
This is shameless. Let's just do it. You know, it's a reminder.
It is a reminder. And every podcast does this, so we're not
it's
alone.
okay. We're not alone, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, and also don't forget to tag us as well if you share this episode.
Yeah. And we will see you in the next one.
Until next time, happy planning.
All right. Bye.
Bye.